A royal filmmaker believes that Prince Andrew's future is certain, despite the controversy surrounding his role in Queen Elizabeth's funeral arrangements. Prince Andrew's career as a working royal is officially gone, according to Nick Bullen, co-founder of True Royalty TV, who spoke to Fox News Digital. In the upcoming weeks and months, we won't be seeing him all that much more. He doesn't seem to be a part of the king's vision for the monarchy's future, in my opinion. The king has made it very obvious that he desires a more condensed monarchy. He is concentrating on the direct heirs. Prince George and Princess Charlotte attending the burial served as a very strong message that this is the future. The British royal family has been the subject of documentaries by award-winning filmmaker Bullen for 20 years. For roughly 10 years, he has collaborated closely with King Charles. The Royal Beat, Her Majesty's Final Journey and Recollections. Memories of Her Majesty are two specials that the subscription service is releasing for streaming. Both include commentary on Elizabeth's life and legacy from royal specialists and palace insiders. Bullen stated that Prince William, Charles's eldest son and the next in line to the throne, will be the main focus of his attention. Prince and Princess of Wales, according to Bullen, are the subjects on which he will observe the king concentrating all of his attention. Prince Andrew simply doesn't have a place in the world anymore. No more military titles will be bestowed upon him. He won't ever again be a working royal. Therefore, I believe he won't appear on the public scene all that often going forward. As a result of his association with the late American businessman and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, the Duke of York is no longer a senior working royal. The 62-year-old declared he was stepping down from royal duties following a catastrophic BBC interview. In January of this year, Andrew lost his royal patronage and military titles after Virginia Roberts Giuffre accused him of sexual assault. He was also forbidden from using the title of HRH. The two-time father has categorically denied any wrongdoing. Andrew attended the state funeral for the Queen on Monday, together with the royal family. Only working royals, according to an earlier announcement from Buckingham Palace, would dress in military garb for the activities running up to and including the Queen's burial. Andrew joined the procession dressed in a dark suit. An exception was made so that Andrew may wear his uniform while the country was in mourning. For the vigil of the princes, where he and his siblings stood a symbolic guard over their mother's coffin, the Duke donned his military garb. When Andrew agreed to give his now famous interview in 2019, the prince was initially unaware that it would turn out to be a complete disaster. He agreed to an interview with Emily Maitlis from BBC Newsnight, in the hopes that it would finally allay any unanswered questions regarding his connections to Epstein. Additionally, he wanted to respond to claims that he engaged in sex with a 17-year-old who was set up by the convicted sex offender. The interview turned out to be a PR catastrophe. Sam McAllister, a former producer for BBC Newsnight, told Fox News Digital that the moment when the interview comes to an end is perhaps the most remarkable moment. The most striking thing I noticed as I raised my eyes to examine the crew, the cables, and the chaotic television set, is how happy and upbeat he appears. He offers to give us a tour of the palace because he is so upbeat. After the terrible interview, photos of him and Maitlis strolling through the palace were shot and shown to the Globe. That gives you an idea of how well he believed it to have gone. In a book titled Scoops, Behind the Scenes of the BBC's Most Shocking Interviews, which was published on September 13, McAllister explained how the car crash interview came to be. It was revealed in July that McAllister's novel was nearly instantly optioned for the movie, Scoop. When Fox News Digital contacted Clarence House and Kensington Palace for comment regarding the book, no one responded right away. "We don't comment on such novels," a Buckingham Palace official recently told Fox News had lived a life of extraordinary privilege, according to McAllister. "He suffers from what I dubbed the royal delusion. No offense intended, but the way of life had put him in a situation where he felt confident in his ability to provide insightful responses. He was confident that he would be exonerated and allowed to resume his previous way of life. Princess Beatrice's down the aisle, as he had wished. Coming up on his birthday, he presumably wanted a large party. And he wished to attempt to correct the record. My understanding is that he believed he could provide the justifications for his actions, as he would not have agreed to the interview unless he had confidence in his ability to provide appropriate responses. Since you wouldn't agree to the interview unless you thought you had solid responses that would restore your authority, it is my belief that he believed he could provide the justifications for his actions." McAllister asserted that she had been in contact with Andrew's private secretary and a publicist for his business help project for up to a year. She claimed that in May 2019 at Buckingham Palace, she had her first face-to-face absolutely alone with his chief of staff. In November of that same year, the interview was broadcast. I would get in touch with his chief of staff every time the story changed, McAllister recalled. The last negotiation took place on Monday of the same week as the interview. Negotiations began on Monday, a yes came on Tuesday, there was fear on Wednesday, an interview was held on Thursday, editing took place on Friday, and it was released on Saturday. McAllister asserted that Beatrice was present with Andrew during his last-minute bargaining. Prior to the interview, it was a curveball. "I hope you don't mind," he said. "I brought a companion with me. I was anticipating a lawyer, someone who could end this. Instead, his small daughter exits the building. You can only imagine how difficult it was to discuss the accusations against him in this delicate a manner in front of his daughter. She said, she was just what you would anticipate, a worried daughter who is protective of her father. I recognize that these are unique circumstances and that the accusations against him are very serious. When it comes down to it, she is a young woman who obviously loves and wants to protect her father. Despite the unusual circumstances, their relationship had the dynamic of a protective daughter who was listening to us and worried about what he might be up to. She is really receptive, courteous, intelligent, and intrigued by the procedure itself. If you're a royal or a peasant, you both have daughters." I thought he kept moving farther and further away from what you might have anticipated, which was a straightforward apology to express regret for the association with Epstein, and to express genuine sorrow for the harm that Epstein and his accomplices had done. Never did he oversee any of those activities. I feel the space between what was rehearsed and what happened was very vast. But we'll never really know. McAllister expressed her curiosity in Andrew's future, who was known as the Queen's favourite son by many. "I don't think he will be going back to anything like the sort of profile he ever had, or even any kind of profile," she said. "We realize that his relationship with Charles is different from the deep one he shared with his mother. I felt that, and this is just my perception. He was sorry about what happened and the results and the effect upon him, his daughters, his ex-wife, his mother, the monarchy. However, I don't believe we ever witnessed that throughout the interview."